Welcome back to Ta-da 3D printing. I haven't shown much about my MMU in a while, and honestly, that's because I got kind of fed up with it. It seemed like every single print I had to help it through multiple things, unload, reload the filament, and I also just really hated how much space this thing took up. I didn't realize that it would need to be so deep, but between the buffer and all the filaments, this took up a huge footprint. A subscriber named David sent his setup, and having the filament below the machine makes great sense. It looks really clean, and even though it still has all the same pieces, the buffer, everything, just look a lot more organized and easy to get to. But I don't have a space quite like that. I don't have a freestanding space as well as something that I can get to the filament below. Okay, so I got a wild hair with my MMU3 and decided to bring it back out. I'd had it in the house for, I don't know, ever since the Mini came in. I replaced the space that this was in with the Bamboo Mini, and I decided to give it a little more, give it another shot. So I had an MK3 here, but I moved that one, and I decided that I could set up the MMU3 here. And my idea was to put stuff on the shelf above, to put the filament there, and to have the buffer next to it. Well, I don't have enough space for the buffer, and so I decided, okay, maybe I'll put the buffer on one shelf and the filament above it. Well, my tubes wouldn't reach like that. So I ended up temporarily putting the buffer right here underneath the shelf. And I just wanted to see, let's do a quick benchy. So I'm loading the first filament. This is such a stinking mess. But I've got, let's see, that's the side for the filament roll. So I'm trying to push this in on this side, and it's just not catching. It's not doing anything. When I push the filament in, this is what happens. It completely jumps and turns above. So it's coming in above, and then it's supposed to go in here to feed to everything else. But it keeps turning. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I had a small roll of filament, like it was almost out. So I changed the filament out because I thought, okay, sure, it's gonna be curly at the very bottom, which is its own issue, but I'll get a newer roll of filament, and I'm having the same problems. This is the one that I'm using right now. That's at least, 3/4 of a roll. It shouldn't be that curly. And no matter how I load it in, it curls like this. So I think maybe I'll remove the tube and just feed it through that last little section from the buffer to the machine without the tube. And then I started thinking, why am I even doing this buffer system at all? So I just take the filament directly from the spool holder. I do still feed it through the very front of that little spool holder, and then I put it in the back of the MMU3. And it seems like I'm able to get this to load into the machine this way. Even though I'm using the same roll of filament, it does catch now. So I set up all 5 filaments, even though this looks very messy, and I kind of like this. I feel like it's a better solution than the buffers, and then as filament unloads, it's just going to kick it back up into space. It's not like it's going to mess up the filament. So I print a sheet because it's already loaded, and I know what the last one looked like on it. This will take about 3 hours. It printed all the way through with no errors. I don't see any layer shift like on my very first sheet. And this is what the filament looks like from above. The black and white has stretched out a little bit. I would not say this setup is ideal. It looks messier than I would like, but it seems to be working and fit in my space a little better. Looking closer at the sheep, there is a little bit of a gray section. So it looks like the black bled into the gray a little. I'll probably need to adjust my settings for black and white, but I'm glad to have this printing again. Let me know what you think of this setup. Thanks for watching.